A bit of validation that we showed up. That's good. I'm going to show you this little video. Your job as you're watching this video is to say if you had to post something under this video, what would you post to the person who posted this? It's how to draw a butterfly with thread. It's a 14-second video. Here we go. Okay, so turn to the person next to you and share, what would you post under this as a comment? Go ahead. What? Turn to the person next to you, what would you share with them? What would you post? Come up with it, what's going to be your post? And hear what they have to say? Everyone got some reaction? Okay, what? So, what would you guys come up with? What would you post? Whoa, that was cool, that's what you'd say? Yeah, okay, anyone else? What would you say? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? If you had to post something, what would you post? It's going to be something. Freeze?
Usually I'm really good at stuff like this, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, what just happened.
What just happened? Okay, what? Like what? What? All right, anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, that there? It's like, huh? Anyone skeptical about what you just saw? Yeah? So what would you post if you're skeptical?
I'd be like, did you like stop the frame? Did you put another one? Did you edit it?
Like what's the trick?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what's the trick? Because I get it. You know, sometimes you've seen this before. I think I would have watched it 2 or 3 times and tried to see if there was editing or something. Yeah,
right.
No, that's.
Anyone think it's AI?
No,
yeah?
No,
you don't think it's AI? Maybe, could be. No. Yeah. And any other, like, yeah. Hands up who thinks is real. Hands up who thinks is not real. Yeah, okay. So this is interesting in itself because like most of us can, and the reason I'm sharing this is because when we're talking about mindset, every moment, even on social media, you're checking your own mindset, like what even is going on. And as time goes on, as Arthur C. Clarke says, technology is going to be indistinguishable from magic, right? So then the question is, well then, like, are you going to get frozen from doing anything? You're going to hear all these incredible stories. In fact, we're already hearing incredible stories. Like the Genius Awards are about amazing people doing amazing stuff. But there's tricks going on, there's funs going on, there's all sorts of stuff going on. To me, this is a perfect example of a reflection of humanity. I want to show you the comments so you can kind of get an idea of where people are at when they go for the comments, right? Yes, I love this one here. This is my bookmarks, by the way. Not all my bookmarks are Genius Awards. This one here, 4 years ago, I lived in a bush and hunted my own meat. Now I have 2 passive incomes, my own house, and a personal chef. Follow me for more financial advice. So I love that. Okay, so here we have this dude doing this, right? So we got, oh my God, it works. That's the first post. They did it themselves. So there's one way, which is humor, right? It's like, okay, this is funny, right? This looks incredibly delicate and beautiful. It's like, okay, that's another kind of post. It's like, okay. I want to try this just to see if it's real or not, but I'm too lazy to even do it. It doesn't seem that easy. Rock, is this video real or edited? What's next? Democrats, how to paint the Mona Lisa with cooked spaghetti, right? So, like memes, right? That's really similar to the way I draw an owl. It's like 2 circles, beautiful, right? It's like, this is so interesting where you got different people who just like, I'm just going to post just because I think it's funny, right? As I post, it's like that kind of thing, right? Which some of you mentioned as well. And of course, someone freezes it down and goes, look, there's 2 pieces of paper, right? That's the trick, right? That's what's happening here. He's putting back 2 pieces. So it's like, oh, you gave away the trick. But what's so interesting about this is how much there's things that are just either funny or interesting or someone actually did something and it is actually real. It's like, oh, okay. And to what extent curiosity shows up. But also at the same time, the fact that there's a whole village of people that are connecting with each other just off something really silly, right? I think this is so interesting. We're talking about gamification. We're talking about motivation, like what makes people do things, even contribute into something where they get a laugh and so on. And how do you create something of this kind of scale within your own real life experiences so you don't get drawn and sucked into all of this online? One of the funniest things I think today that I saw Two things. One very funny and one quite interesting. This is from this morning, 20 hours ago. So it was last night, right? Let me just play this.
Okay, so it turns out the Pokemon Go era wasn't a collective mental breakdown. It was an unpaid internship. Every single person who wandered into a cemetery at midnight, walked into a lamppost, or stood in the rain outside a Walgreens for 20 minutes trying to catch a Snorlax was actually doing data entry for the robot economy. No V2, no benefits, not even a thank you email. Niantic Spatial, the AI spun out from the company that invented the reason your uncle fell into a fountain in 2016, just revealed it has been sitting...
So, tricky accent, but pretty much what she's saying is everyone's been playing this game, and it was just announced today that actually all of this data that they've been having, they're using for delivery robots. Better than what you can get with Google or Uber or Tesla, because of course those guys can only go on the roads, right? Whereas here, you've got all the humans going through the parks, through the forest, through their houses, through everything. So they've got full GPS tracking, where basically, as it says here, I don't effing believe Pokemon was behind building one of the best AI models. 500 million Pokemon Go players unknowingly took 30 billion pictures that now power the world's #1 AI navigation system for 1,000 robots. Can pinpoint location to within a few centimeters, and players had zero idea. The story's insane. In Pokemon Go, people point their cameras to real-world places. Simulation turned into an AI model. Over 1 million hotspots globally with 1,000 images. Niantic literally gamified unpaid data labeling. This is how they're going to make their money, right? So you get a free game, you go around, have fun, gamified, addicted, and the next thing, we have now got a real life layer on the world. This is happening all the time, where it's like, well, how can we make something fun enough that humans just want to play for free, or just want to do something that's going to be, valuable in some way? And I'm kind of sharing this because once you actually take that to what about learning, this is a student, right? That this is, again, just in the last 24 hours. This is my life, right? I just get like, what are the indications of genius that are out there? Homeschooling has evolved from ordering generic curriculum to parents building personalized digital learning tools. This is a parent. I now have all the basic 1st to 12th grade skills loaded to add. What he's done here is he's taken pretty much what we're doing as well. Every single grade of every single subject, created an agent that's specializing in all the best ways to teach that particular grade. So any student at school can get 10 or 20 world-class mentors that can guide them in pretty much anything that's personalized to them, right? So, it takes a village, but you can create a village and you can do this. And again, it's just taking, now, of course, if it's going to be really boring, the student's not going to use it, right? But if there's a way to, make it engaging, and this is a big part of what we're doing at Genius School, and I'm going to show you an example in this next session of how you can do it. But it only makes sense to look at it like, oh, here's an instrument, here's how I can use the instrument. But first of all, let's just learn the music. So here's here's a question for each of you. And you can do this quickly, right? To just go back to what I asked before I came on, or at the time when I came on the beginning, when I said, look, there's likely to be something that you're doing at the moment that you should do more of, and you're kind of not doing it, right? So I'd like you to come up with what is one thing which is the reason you're not doing it? Is it too much hard work, boring, distracted? What is that? What is that one thing that shows up every time you're like, oh, I should do more of that, and then you just don't do it, right? And it can be an emotion, it can be a kind of feeling, it can be a thought, which is the thing that makes you go, nah, right? Not going to do it. And similarly, when you do something like pull out the phone and I can't, help getting on it and so on, what is the one thing which is the kind of motivator or driver or thing that actually makes you go, oh, this is something I want to do? Is it because, you posted something and you want to see if people kind of liked it? Is it because you're like, oh, I think I'm going to see something new and interesting, right? What is it, right? That is again, just down to one word. We're just looking for one word. So one word which kind of stops you from doing the thing that you kind of want to do, and one word that kind of makes you do things that you would prefer not to do so much of. What would that be, right? So just come up with those words. I'm going to pull a bunch of those words up here, right? So we can have a look and see what they look like. So go ahead, come up with the words. Everyone should have their words by now. Before you start sharing, just turn to the person next to you and share with them, what are those words? What is the word that you use to describe the thing that comes up when you're not doing the thing you should be doing or would like to do? And what is the thing that comes up every time you think of the thing that you shouldn't do so much of, right? Take a moment, share with the person next to you. Okay, all right. We're going to come each table one by one. Actually, no, I think I'm just going to make this an open thing. So you can just shout out, first of all, words that are the things that are stopping you, right, from going forwards, right? So the kind of like the negatives. What kind of things are popping up? Boredom, all right. Overstimulation, overwhelm kind of thing, right? Okay. All right, what else? Routine, okay. Unworthiness. Failure. Good. Okay, a couple more. Distraction. Yeah. Loser. Okay, a bit like failure. Any other? Kind of. Perfectionism. Yeah.
Fear.
Okay. Embarrassment. Okay. So a lot of different things would rather just not even kind of be facing, right? So it's like, I'm not even going to try, right? Okay, let's talk about the plus. Like what's making you go, whoo, I'm going to do more of this thing I'd prefer not to do things on. What showed up there?
Excitement.
Excitement, okay. Excitement, that's almost the opposite here, right? What else? Curiosity, okay. Something's triggering that happening. Certainty, okay. You kind of, you know you're not having to take too much of a risk because it's something you tried and it kind of worked last time. Yep. Sorry? Fun, okay, good, fun. Inspiration, okay. Connection. So, something's making these things happen in whatever the modality is or whatever the thing is you're doing, right? Which is like, it's built into the thing, which is like, oh, I felt that last time, I'm gonna feel it again. I started writing and I stopped, well, connection, okay. What was that one? Ease, okay, so it's like, oh, this is an easy thing. Like, and you say easy for how long? Easy until you get a reward. It's like, oh, that was easy to get something, right? Yep. You guys? Betterment is like, oh, this is good because I'm somehow either getting recognized or recognizing myself as getting better at something, right?
I was actually more thinking of the bigger picture.
The bigger picture?
I'm giving back.
Okay. People are thanking me, or I'm seeing the results of what I'm doing is like leaving the world better or something like that. Yeah. And any flow? Okay, like this feels good. Growth. All right, growth. Okay, you're seeing elements here where it's like, well, how do you build a system that does more of this and less of this, right? That's really the question. So that's what we're going to get into now. And we're going to see that all of these different elements, just in the same way that music can all be coming down to 8 notes, this all comes down to 8 notes. This is the beauty in this, right? So this here is the Octalysis framework. It was created over a decade ago, and pretty much every game, including Pokemon Go, like religiously went through each of these 8 to say we're going to build all of them into the experience, right? Why? Because they actually, believe it or not, fit exactly onto the 8 Confucius family, which is the 8 profiles, right? Like, and so we're going to see exactly what that is and how it is. Yukai Chao is actually, I had some conversations with him. He's super awesome. We may end up buying his company and bring it into Genius as well. He's based in Taiwan, and he's like run off his feet, like just consulting with gaming companies, basically, right? And he really came out with this at the time when the app stores just started opening, right? So all of his tools were used within that. And the whole fundamental of Octalysis, this is very small right now, but I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger for you, right? So you can kind of see this. We'll do a square here, so we can kind of see it on the square. He said, look, there's 8 drivers, and these 8 drivers create motivation, whether you like it or not. And for some people, some people get more motivated by some things than others. But if you design an environment that has all 8, if you design a journey that has all 8, then the great thing is people will want to play it. And you'll want to play it as well. So the top one there is small, but it says epic meaning. So epic meaning actually is something from a dynamo point of view that pretty much any creator would know. They just get drawn into things that are not just shiny, but actually is going to let them be a hero of some sort, right? So epic meaning we're going to be coming back to in a moment. And you're going to be able to apply, when we look at these 8, which ones link to the things we just wrote down there, right? You're going to see here on the right, there's something called empowerment. Empowerment is like, oh, I get to do something where it's because I did it or because I was able to control it. Like I can change the avatar and I can change what color my character is, and I can personalize it. So that's very, very much like what the energy of the Blaze and Dynamo is together. So we have empowerment on this side. We have on the other side, and this is interesting as well. I want to share this because I haven't shared it yet, and I think it's super important. This basically that we keep on drawing the square is actually the brain, right? There's a frontal lobe at the top, there's a temporal lobe at the back. It's actually called the temporal lobe, right? That's your tempo. It's left brain, it's right brain, right? And it's more introvert, it's more extrovert. There's a center, right? The center is the amygdala. In the amygdala, you have something called the pineal gland, which is your third eye. And that basically tunes into the universe, right? So this is the brain. And we all have a tendency towards one part more than another part. So you've got empowerment here, which is more in the right brain. You're going to see that we keep going left brain to right brain. The reason is because skeptic comes before, the brake comes before the accelerator. Why? Because we're living in a world where there's lots of promises, but we're always being overpromised. So we want to kind of check out something before we actually believe in it. So you see on the other side there, it says accomplishment, which is, did I actually accomplish something? The things like ease. It's like, did I do something easy that got me a reward that was like, oh, that was easy. Okay, I'll do it again, right? Or did it take a long time before I even got to actually some kind of reward, right? So accomplishment, different from empowerment, because empowerment allows you to personalize, accomplishment allows you to compare to others, right? Or compare to, the score, like leaderboards, things like that. Here you got social influence, okay? Social influence on this side, absolutely, is about, did I win an award, right? Did I get recognized by others? Can I invite my friends? Is this something where it's just me on my own? This is one of the biggest areas that gets massacred at school, because most social influence is based on negative, not positive, right? Schoolyard bullying, etc. It's like people go, the only way for me to actually have influence is that I've got to be mean to other people, right? And that's because that's what happens in the classroom too often as well. The opposite on this one is ownership. Ownership, super, super important, right? Which is very much like the Lord energy. It's like, well, I got to come back to see how my farm is doing, right? Because it's my farm, right? I've got to come back to my profile on Instagram because I posted those things, right? I don't want to leave it because I've already got like 1,000 photos on it, right? So the more you build ownership, the more people want to come back and actually see how they're doing. And if you're not letting them do that, oh, the textbook you're using, you don't even get to see it anymore. It's like, what? So I've got to start from scratch again, right? As opposed to building something. So when we talk about us having every week a personal playbook for the kid with a personal journal, which over the entire year becomes their portfolio, which they get to keep and their parents get to see, right? And then the next year it builds on top of that and it builds on top of that. And you think, wow, in 20 years time, I can look back at what I was doing when I was 6 years old, right? Like, that's awesome, right? But most schools don't design into ownership, right? So ownership, super important. We're going to touch on that as well. I'm just giving you the map at the moment and we'll talk about what these things mean. And you're going to be able to design your own journey with all of these, right? Down here, we have got unpredictability. This is where it gets very interesting, because the things that really make us go, oh, I got to come back. Like if every time you went to any social media, you knew what you're going to see, you wouldn't come back. But the fact that you don't know, every time you just kind of like scroll or swipe right, you get something new you didn't know was going to be there, right? That unpredictability is that's the dopamine hit, which makes you come back again and again. If you're like saying, I know exactly how it's all going to go, you're not even going to go down that journey, but it's like, I'm not actually sure what might happen here. That's going to make you go on the journey. The problem is something like unpredictability has got such a strong driver to keep checking, it takes you away from things like epic meaning, right? So some of these things will draw you out. For anyone who's done any internet design, you'll know there's such thing as white hat and dark hat, right? So this is the difference of like things that you do where you know it's not good for humans, but you do it just to create addiction, versus so like when you see things like, okay, so in the game, you get to get a treasure chest and you don't know what's going to be in it, right? And so of course the kids are all buying these treasure chests because they want to like get the unpredictability, and then the parents like, what the heck, why'd you spend all that money? What were you even buying? I didn't even know, that's why I bought it. It's like, it's basically like, that's how Vegas works, right? And it's like, I'm going to do the jackpot again, right? And then we're like, okay, but how is that legalized gambling for kids? Like, should this be legal? Right, so this whole idea of black hat, which is like things that force you to do things that just addict you, this is the whole issue we're having with like social media right now, right? And it's like screen time. It's not about the screen. It's about what people are doing on the screen, right? This one on this side over here is scarcity, just as bad, right? Scarcity is pretty much like any hard salesperson. It's like, I've only got 3 of these and you better buy it today because by tomorrow it's going to be gone, right? Like that whole thing, which is like, there's only so much. Scarcity generally is built up when you're like, there can only be one winner, right? Like as soon as you do that and there's not a way that everyone can win, it's like noughts and crosses, like then I have to play again, right? So the reason that we're like, okay, let me try again, it's like, I'll win next time, right? And that's the gambler's addiction. So scarcity, also black hat. And then the final one there is avoidance, which is like, okay, whatever happens, I've got to post again because people think I'm a bad person, I'm actually a good person, or people think they won the argument and I've got to go back in there and avoid feeling like a loser, right? So it starts by basically putting you on the back foot, and then you have to just keep on coming back again and again, we can all see this happening, right? If we take all these different things, we can see there's certain things like excitement, which sounds like a good thing, which it is, right? But that could come from unpredictability, but it can also come from empowerment, right? So it's like, well, there's different levels of this as well, right? And each one of these is down here as well, right? Like, flow can actually come from different areas here. Flow can even come from a hater that just can't stop posting hate, right? That could be flow too. So when you build all these together, what you end up with is basically, in each case, a particular thing which does link specifically to dynamo, right? These things here lift you up. These things here ground you down, and sometimes grind you down, not just ground you down. These things on this side are going to be much more likely to be for extroverts who just love this. People here don't care so much about social influence and so on, but they do care about ownership, right? So they're going to be more on this side as well. So these things will already kind of show up. And if you were to think, okay, well, with the list I already just put together, not only what is it that's showing up in the thing I'm more addicted to, but what could I add to the thing that actually I want to do more of? Like, a lot of people who are like more extrovert know, if I want to go get healthy, well, why don't I just go and build some social influence? I'll go join a gym and I'll go to a class where I've got someone like expecting me to show up there, and that way I'm just going to show up, right? Because now I'm motivated because I designed that for myself, right? Or epic meaning, right? Okay, so I want to get fit, but if I'm just going to the gym, that's kind of boring. But if I kind of sign up for the triathlon, well, then now I've got a journey to go on and I have to go do it, right? And I'll have someone go with me on it, and then we're on this journey together. And so each one of these, we can actually start putting in these mechanisms that allow us to actually start linking in with whichever of these is the right one for us. So have a conversation for a moment to say, but which one of these 8 am I spotting as probably the biggest, and there's probably going to be more than one, but probably the biggest one that makes me go back to something I shouldn't do so much of. And which of these is the one I could probably add in, knowing who I am and what motivates me, to the thing I'm not doing so much of, by changing the environment would actually already allow me to get more excited about doing it, right? Or more motivated to actually make it happen, and see what shows up. So I'll give you a couple of minutes, have a conversation with your partner in both of those, and see what you can identify. Okay, thank you for sharing. Give your team a round of applause for sharing. Thank you. We're going to start with our more kind of steal into a little bit of tempo team here. What showed up here? What would be some of the drivers you spotted you could add more into?
Well, my goal is to meditate more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, which I can do in a perfect conditions, like
Yes.
a retreat or vipassana, like
Yep.
where everything is built
Yes.
for you to just breathe and concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think about everything else. But I really struggle to implement it in my daily life. But I really need this.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because I know it has so much benefits
Yes.
that I seek from it. So what I can implement is actually, I realize that I struggle to do it on my own,
Mhm.
and I'm better when I'm in a group, like when other people are holding me
Yep.
accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I actually know a place where I can go and meditate in a group.
Okay.
So probably, just
It's just setting the schedule,
start
putting it in.
going out.
Let's open this up to everybody. Anyone here who'd like to share where meditation was something that you knew you wanted to do more of, and you just kind of were like, oh, okay, how do I make this happen? And then you found a way. Yeah. Do you want to share what happened? What you did? You're wanting to. Okay, great. Anyone here who goes, oh, I actually found a way that actually works well for me now? Yeah. We'll take 2 examples. So what do you do now that before you weren't doing so much of, and now it's easier to just get in the rhythm?
It's the first thing I do when I wake up.
Okay.
Even in the bed, I just automatically have a practice, and in the morning I don't look at my phone. I don't start work until later. I just get into a meditation, whether it's a visualization, how I want to start my day. And I found that really allows me to move forward.
Now, was that just natural from the beginning, or did you at
No.
some point go, look, I've got to actually consciously make myself do this. And what was it you did? Did you make a note to yourself? Did you code it in? Did you put a sign up? What happened?
I started because I
What were you doing before that? Were you just picking up your phone or?
yeah, or like I have to get more work done.
Right.
And so I had more anxiety, which was motivated from a different place.
Okay.
And so I would be checking my phone and like, I have to do this, I have to answer these messages. And I decided that my peace of mind was...
Did you, in your case, I mean, some people have better willpower than others, right? So maybe you go, oh, I'm just going to do that. But I know, for example, someone who was like I always am picking up my phone as soon as I wake up. I'm like, well, then don't have your phone in your room. Right?
Yeah.
Like, then you can't, right? Like, just but I need it for my alarm. We'll get another alarm. It's like, oh, okay, right? It's like, there's always a way to make whatever it is that is happening more difficult, and whatever you actually want to have happen far more easy, right?
Yeah.
And that's ownership. I mean, that is what that is. It's like, okay, my actual ownership of my schedule's now changed, right? And if you have to report to somebody on this, even better, right? Because then it's like, okay, how did you do this week? It's like, well, here's where I'm at compared to where I was, right? Even if you don't have to go speak to them, I'm just going to put it on a little online thing they can go look at, or I'm going to WhatsApp them or something, right? That's like, I'm done. Those are different, and you don't have to do that many times before you get to the final piece. I was mentioning on the first day this thing about David, who was like, well, I can't remember things anyway, right? And in fact, we did something very, very similar to what we did with Teo, where we said, look, let's see how quickly you can remember 10 things. And as soon as you got that, it's like, oh my God, I can remember things. His belief about his own, and then I said, so now go out and research what are the ways other people have figured this out. And he found out, oh, I can use my alarm, I can put sheets up, I can give myself a reward once I do this every day. Like, he just found a whole bunch of different things that already people are sharing. And this is one of the most important things about having a community. People go, oh, I can help you with that. This is what I did. And here's the result I got, right? Absolutely. Let's take another, what else showed up? We're going to come, we'll come over to your table for a second. We're going to go around this way. We're going to go anti-clockwise. So we're going to come to our Blaze tempo table. What did you spot?
An interesting thing that was on our share was there was an avoidance or a drive to, or a relationship between avoidance and then how that would affect social influence of like, if I don't do this, then it's going to affect my social influence, which was an interesting link between two of those drivers.
And was that because of social influence for doing something you didn't want to do? Is that right?
It was more a case of continuing something.
Continuing something.
So, okay,
yeah.
I don't want to not continue doing this thing.
Right.
Because the idea of not doing that would then affect my social influence
Got
there,
it.
which is a driver for me to have that.
Got it.
So I'd rather not do it.
Yes.
Because of the effect it have over there, which was like an interesting, how they link together.
Yeah. This is one of the most challenging things. If you're ever wanting to shift anything in your life, there's a very good chance that whatever you've got around you has reinforces whatever life you had, right? So if you want to shift to something new, it's like, well, how do I do that without feeling bad about the fact I'm letting these people down because they're already kind of like wanting me and my time, and now I can't go party with them because I'm trying to start up this thing. And always, like, at the end of the day, we all love holding on to something, right? If you've got a kid that's holding on to a ball, don't try grabbing the ball off the kid. He's not going to be happy about that. But if you just give him a better ball, then he's going to drop this ball straight away, right? So to be able to say, okay, so every Tuesdays, I'm going to go and be with these people, and I'm still going to have time with those people. And now I have a bridge that actually, and eventually this team, people are going to be like, whoa, I'm actually getting even more being with these people, reinforcing being healthy, or like starting a business, or, helping the village, or whatever it is, compared to these people. And I still have these people as friends as well, but I'm not letting them down anymore because they're still getting my time when I'm there, right? So this again comes down to how you set up the game to win, as opposed to like, oh, I'm still losing the game, right?
Well, even downstream of that, it's like, if the thing, it still gives me meaning and I'm still growing over there as well. So it's like there's a real link of all of these things.
Yes.
Of how many drivers you can engineer, or give a perspective on, how much benefit is that actually giving you doing that thing. So you might feel like you don't want to do it, but you probably should. But it's still an opportunity for you to continue to grow in those areas.
So as a guide, one of the most important things as the guide is to really understand your role is not just being the actor in the movie, it's being the director of the movie, right? The actor of the movie always wants to, like, the story, everyone lived happily ever after the end, but no one wants to watch that movie, right? The movie people want to watch is the heroic journey, it's the adventure, it's a drama, and so for you to go, okay, well, like for me, Roger, every Sunday is my director Roger day, when I'm like, okay, what's actor Roger going to do this next week? right? It's like, whoa, Actor Roger had a pretty easy week last week. Okay, let's challenge him this week. Let's do more of this, right? Or, oh, Actor Roger was complaining about this last week. Okay, let's do this. It's not going to be easy for him, but he's going to go do it anyway. And when Actor Roger wakes up on the Monday, he's already got his script for the week. He's like, he knows what he needs to do and where he needs to go. And it's like, we're going to schedule him to go here and do this and do that. And then Actor Roger then shows up and it's like, oh, I better go do this then, right? And then once you separate yourself out, it makes all the difference. And we talk about that at Masters. Many you who've been there, we talk about basically the Trimurti and how the Trimurti link to the yogas that you find in the Bhagavad Gita. And the actor is like Brahma, and that actor is all about karma, right? Which is the yoga of basically, well, whatever happens to me, right? Like everything's a ripple, and it's kind of, I do something bad, it's going to knock back, and it's going to be something bad. I do something good, it's going to knock back, it's good. But the director is a totally different person, right? And that's Vishnu, and that's basically, okay, now it's not about karma. It's about bhakti. It's about the fact that there's a real world going on and there's a non-real world, and the actor's not even in the real world. The actor's in the movie. So I get to change the movie here. And finally, you have Shiva, who's the witness, right? And the witness is watching the movie, right? And we often, stop watching the movie because we're so busy being the actor, right? But once you actually step out, that's when true gratitude happens. It's like, oh, I'm not just you, I'm also you and you and you. I'm all of us, right? And it's like, wow, I get to watch this movie. And once that happens, then everything changes, because then it's like, why am I even getting Actor Roger to live that life? Why wouldn't I get him to live a more epic life, right? And that's the game. You get to create the game here, which is so exciting. And that's a game for you, but it's also a game for everyone else in your book, right? It's a game for everybody, which includes the kids that you want to impact, includes the people around you, and you're no longer the victim, right? Because you're creating the game. If you're not doing that, then someone else is creating a game for you, right? And you might not even know what the rules are, which is why you're getting the results you're getting. So much of this is the meta of stepping out and going, okay, cool, this is where it gets fun. I even get to say what is the picture on the jigsaw puzzle, and I get to go collect the pieces, right? Which is where it gets very exciting. Let's come over to our table here. Yeah, Sky.
Yeah, lately I've been using different timers for different things, like a kitchen timer. Countdown, it's usually like at 20 minutes, 20 seconds. I just put it on that, and I'm just checking internally, like, okay, what am I focused on? What am I consuming? What media, what information, what am I outputting? How am I doing? What did I do in this last third of an hour, approximately? And so that's just one thing.
So you do that as kind of one of your things, yeah?
Yeah, and a chess clock, getting the AI to be on the clock, processing, and then when it balls in my court, and I try to beat it at the chess clock. Yeah.
Okay, all right. How about this table here? Anyone would like to share what was something you could put in that would create better motivation for whatever you're being avoiding?
So I think one for all three of us when we talked was definitely the meaning, epic meaning.
Epic meaning,
And that being one of the reasons that we avoid doing what we know we should.
Right.
And despite knowing that without a bigger why that we see as something that's selfless, we don't attach enough meaning to it, and then we go into other things that are just busy work and distractions, procrastination.
Right, absolutely. So let me show you two examples as we go through, because what we're going to do today is we're going to go back to our genius journey and see how we can plug some things in, but then we're going to go from the idea of a genius journey, which is is totally yours, is your 3 months, is how you create a journey, which then leads to learning, to a genius mission, which is a full year, which can include other people in as well, right? Which actually can have an even bigger effect, right? And of course, you can have 4 genius journeys that lead up to one mission, right? And what could that be, right? When you're starting to think bigger in such a way that the school can get involved, Manu can get involved, Bali can get involved, right? And it's like, wow, that's awesome. And it doesn't even have to be your mission. It'd be someone else who's got a mission you really love the idea of, and then you're going to follow that. But it's going to have all these 8 things in it. So 2 examples, right? The first example, once you know the music and go, well, who actually created their music this way? The most successful app today in education or learning still happens to be Duolingo, right? And if you go to Duolingo, there's lots of documentation about Duolingo and how they use the octalysis, how it was designed from the very beginning with octalysis. So you can see in here, the octalysis framework, and you can see here, how did they bring in epic meaning and calling into Duolingo, right? It's like the whole thing is like you've been chosen for this task, right? And they'll be sending you messages, right, of what you need to do and how you go about finishing. So it's like, oh, I better go in and I better make that happen. And they're using notifications to make that happen. Development and accomplishment. How do we actually know you're getting closer as you go? It's like, hey, we're going to give you celebrations. We're going to give you like the little stars, right? We're going to put you on a leaderboard. You're in the gold league now, right? And so all these things, oh, I better go back tomorrow, right? And so all of these different things were designed as mechanisms to make people kind of like addicted to learning. Empowerment of creativity, feedback. This is where you get to actually have different ways. So it's variety as you're doing this as well. Go back and improve. Here's the mistakes you made. You want to go back, improve it, so you never truly fail. You just kind of get guided on the right path. What about ownership and possession? Hey, you've actually got your own treasure chest where you can be collecting things. You can, if you lose your streak, you can come back and actually fill up the streak again. This is how they actually make their money. From people going, well, I want my streak, so I'm going to pay money for it. I'm going to pay for the learning, but I pay for feeling good about the fact I'm still having my streak, right? And then from here, having things like outfits, heart refills, like social influence. This is a big part, right? It's like bring your friends in, and now how are your friends doing, and how are you doing against your friends? All these little mechanisms are super, super easy to pull into anything if you understand that this is what's missing: scarcity and impatience. It's like, okay, this is when the owl shows up, right? Like this is where Duo's like, hey, like I'm lonely, why didn't you come back, right? And actually like messaging you to bring you back again. They've got the exclusive club as well, right? Like today in a lot of places where things are going digital, it's the exclusivity where you make the money. Like if you went back 20 years to most musicians, they made the money by selling albums. Now they give all their music away for free, but you pay to be in their fan club, right? And so the fact that you've actually got this new space where people are willing to pay a lot for exclusivity or for experience, much more than they were used to willing to pay because they're getting everything else for free. Unpredictability, curiosity, again, like random things popping up at times when you weren't expecting them, so you don't know what's going to be coming next. That's a really big part of it. And when they give multipliers over a particular period of time, so it's like, oh, maybe that's on today. Loss and avoidance, right? This is where it's like it's been. You got the streak. Like streaks is one of the biggest things that makes them come back every day. It's like every day the stakes are higher of what you're going to lose if you don't come back to get your streak. Your 145-day streak is in danger. No, please, right? You've lost your streak. Repair it for $4.99. So, and again, like different types of Duolingo players. So they're already talking about the things we're talking about: achievers, explorers, socializers, killers. Like these different people that are already like those are the four geniuses, right? So again, like everything we're talking about here is the base is the invisible part behind human motivations and learning. And Duolingo's done a really great job of this. And what we're doing for Genius AI is to do something similar. Let me show you a real-time example, right? So you can see this, and as we go through this, you can have a chance to look at how you apply this for yourself as well. I'm just going to go back to something which I thought, we're in the middle of this. Let's see what happens if I was just an educator, just dropping something in as we go. And this was when we were yesterday or the day before. We were going through what the top skills are for driving exam success, right? And if you remember this one here, we were just touching on one, which is memorization. And the one below it says speed reading. So I'm like, okay, well, look, we do have speed reading programs, but let's imagine I had no idea about speed reading, but I really wanted, my students to be able to speed read because I know it's going to be much easier for them to pass the exam. So you'll see that what I posted here within my Genie is I basically just said, on here, let me just grab it. Let me see if I get to where I had it. I think it's up here. Yeah, here we go. So I said, okay, great. Now add one slide. Oh, no, not that one. It's a bit higher. Okay, so I said, great. Now imagine we had a 1-hour workshop to accelerate speed reading and retention for 7 to 9-year-olds. Look for the best examples of effective and fun exercises we can take the students through in 1 hour, including a link to a video if there's a good one. Put the workshop on a series of slides that our Genius Guide and the students can follow. Also include slides that back up the validation of the skill and academic basis for the exercise as designed. Obviously, so parents and teachers go, oh, there's some rigor behind this, right? So it goes away, it goes, oh, I've done the research, oh, this is good, I've got a QA, I've got the workshop flow, this is going to be exciting, and it is, and then you can view your presentation, and this is like one shot, right, to already give us this. So what's it giving us? It's saying basically, okay, speed reading and super retention. Here's what we're going to be doing, right? And then it goes through and says, first of all, warm up, iGym, follow the finger, like, near and far, the blink, blink, big blink, right? So it's like got these exercises that the kids follow. And then the finger rocket, right? And then it actually goes through how this works when you actually zoom over a page and why it works, right? That actually speeds up your reading a lot, just this one skill. Chunk it. Like, don't look at cat sat on mat. Look at the cat sat on the mat and looked at. So again, it speeds it up even more. Picture power, right? Create a picture in your mind as you're going through this. Beat the clock, right? Actually, like, say how many words in a minute, and then the next time, and then the next time. And kids generally, when they're following this, they'll go from about 100 and 150 words a minute to anything up to 1,000 to 6,000 words a minute. I mean, like, if you're reading at like, and with comprehension, by the way, at like, 100 times what you're doing before, why would you not teach a kid this? And this actually works just as well for ADHD and dyslexic kids. There's specific things you can be doing that actually make them go, no, I'm not really terrible at reading. I've just been doing it the wrong way, right? And again, too often, because this is a skill, and generally schools aren't like set up for skills, this can make all the difference. So what you're seeing here, silly voice recall, etc. And then this actually goes through the research behind the workshop. Anyone wants to go and see that, like, this has been proven, what the resources are. There's videos here as well where you can actually go and see what other people are up to and what they're doing. So you don't need the knowledge as a guide to say, I'm going to create something that can really work well here. Where it gets really interesting is like, well, that's fine and good, but all we did was say, go find the best stuff and give us best practice. Look what happens when we say, let's take this one step further and further down. I asked it, let's take all of the things that we have on the octalysis, right? Let's take all the things that we have in terms of, our guide and what we've gone through. And let's basically go back to speed reading again, but this time apply all the 8 octalysis drivers as well. So we gamify the experience more, make it a full 1-day speed reading camp with prizes, competitions, rankings, and then at the end, provide a summary for teachers and parents to understand how each driver is activated and all the students get a full dose, right? Now, by the way, we're gonna get to dose in a minute, so you're gonna see what that is. But basically in here, it's like, yep, I've got it all, I've got a presentation. Here it is. Now, just compare for yourself how different this feels. If you were a kid and you were gonna go through this. So now we have Speed Reader Academy. Speed Reader Academy, a 1-day gamified speed reading and retention camp. The science behind the camp, right? So this goes through already. Dose effects, right? This is what creates motivation. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. You're going to have all of it, right? You're going to have epic meaning. You can have development, accomplishments. You're going to have all of these different things, right? They're all going to be part of it. How are we going to do this, right? We're going to have a camp schedule where we're going to start with the opening ceremony. We're going to have an iGym baseline test, picture power studio, reading treasure hunt, chunk up team battle, lunch and mystery challenge, speed tournament, grand championship, awards and graduation. This is what we're going to be doing, right? So everyone's like, okay, this sounds good. How do I win, right? And then it goes through opening ceremony, right? And it's like, at this point, working with the students, today you're going to become speed reader heroes. Hand out personalized reader passports. You're going to have name, photo spot, stamp, grid, explain the Academy's mission to unlock the superpower of speed reading. So now you've got epic, mission coming in. Dividing the students into 4 houses. They're going to be a competition, right? Lead the speed reader pledge. I promise to read faster, think deeper, never give up, right? So this is just as they come in, and then from there, it's like, okay, iGym and baseline tests, right? So here we're going to do the full warm up. You're going to get a power level sticker in your passport, right, for this step. It's like, great, I've got that, right? And then it goes on, and you're getting the idea here. Again, this whole thing was just developed with AI, understanding that we're using frameworks and using those frameworks. The biggest issue most of us have using AI, we're not using frameworks, right? It doesn't know what it's meant to be following, but if it starts with the harmony of what we're teaching here, this is not computer code, this is human code, right? The genius code is human code. Think about it like, I'm going from a horse to a car, well then you need to learn the highway code, right? Because the highway code is going to stop you from crashing, it's going to let you drive with others. So what we're doing here is not going from 1 horsepower to 100 horsepower with the highway code, we're going from 1 human power to 100 human power with the genius code, right? Here we now have picture power studio, right? Read a short, vivid story about allowed together, distribute colored markers, large paper sheets, draw challenge, draw what you read, pictures, symbols, arrows, words. You're noticing we're doing a lot of this within this certification program, right? Now I do all this naturally. When Sean is on the video, he may not be doing all this naturally, so it sounds more like a lecture, right? I mean, his stuff adds valuable, but could he pull all this in? Of course he could, right? He does with his kids, right? But to do it with parents as well, I think that's really important. So everyone gets it, especially the guides, so they go, oh, I get to feel what it feels like to be a kid again, right? So here we've got, Creative Genius badge, you're getting that, you're getting house points, so you're actually doing this for the team as well as for yourself. Again, the key thing here is not just putting in 1 or 2 of the 8, you're putting in all 8, right? The whole buffet. And so there's always going to be something for everybody. Reading treasure hunt, right? So now hide 20 clue cards around the room or venue before the activity. Each card is a short passage, 1 question. Students can collect up to 10 gems in 25 minutes. So how we're gamifying student with our Genie AI, everyone gets gems. The goal is that you can use those gems when you go to Luna, right? The kids can take their parents out for an ice cream, right? Because you're earning these as you go. Gems are physically placed in their passports, treasure grid. Now you've got the gold gems. You're going to get all these slides. You're going to see how this works, right? But you can take any one of those different skills. You can create your own mini adventure, mini hero's journey. It can be a 1 day, it can be a 1 hour. But to not do it, why would you not do it when it's so easy to do? Why just make it boring and then wonder why people aren't engaged, right? Here we have chunk team battle. So now you've got teams working together against each other. And then we have got Spain for speed tournament, lunch and mystery challenge, grand championship, awards and graduation ceremony. I mean, this is no different from people competing with each other in the rock, paper, scissors, and at the end, everyone's celebrating, right? It's the same thing, which is how fun is this going to be? And what kid wouldn't, if they've gone through this, want to go to the next one? Even if the next one's not about like speed reading, it's about comprehension, or it's about maths or something. It's about the fun they get by being here and going through something like this. And like I said, the effort of putting something together like this before would have been quite a lot, because you have to go through all this, like, okay, I got to know about it, I got to remember it, what about this? But AI allows you to speed up all of that and have superhuman powers to make this work. So think for a moment about your own journey. Well, what could I do in my own genius journey that would actually get me more excited and get me showing up more? And if I don't know, let me go to my AI. By the way, you can do this on ChatGPT as well if that's your AI. You can, like we deliberately say, use whatever AI you're using at the moment. The reason I use Claude now, and I didn't, we had an AI lab about 3 months ago, I wasn't using Claude then because Claude didn't have co-work. Like co-work allows you to do all of this in one shot and create all of these different slides. ChatGPT sort of can't do that, right? In 2 months' time, when we run our AI lab, who knows, maybe I'm not using Claude at that point because something's even better, right? But the point is not like what's the best AI, the point is what is fit for purpose for us being the best human, right? Which is a different thing. So sharing this to give you a bit of a taste of all of this, and then let me now, before we actually go into the exercise of, well, what does that mean for my own project, and then have Angie come so we can actually do some group mentoring together. Let me go from that to what I mentioned here, which is dose. Like what is dose? Why is it so important? And why is it that it is what actually is the key driver behind everything that we actually do? And by the way, these slides here, I'll leave these with you because it's a bit too small to see, but what I really love about these slides is it shows you the dark side of each of these 8, and it shows you the bright side as well. And knowing this is really helpful. By the way, when we talk about the squares also have a dark side and a light side, and I can tell you what the dark and light side is now, and you probably will resonate very quickly with what I share, right? If you are a dynamo, or if you know of a dynamo, and this is someone who already is head in the clouds, probably someone who inspires you in some way, there's 2 things that they can do which slows down or stops flow and cuts flow altogether, right? If they wanted to slow down flow, if they're like not happy with what you've done, or they basically want to kind of like make it really clear to you that that they're not, oops, where is it here? That they're not wanting as much flow, then what they'll do is in the same way that they generally will normally go this way, is they'll go this way. They'll just basically shut down, right? They'll just shut down. And by the way, if they're really not happy with you at all, in public often, they will cut down. That's when it's cut, right? It's like, what the heck? You just basically made me feel super terrible. Now, other people is like, oh, I don't mind you doing that to me, right? But like someone here is like, no, I really mind, right? And someone here on tempo, they're not going to cut you down because they're not already feeling like they're up, right? Because these people are feeling they're down. So what do? They don't shut down. They shut up. They're like, what's your feedback? Not going to say anything? Is it like, oh, she's mad, right? So like, and cut up, right? Cut up is really when it's like, okay, you go do your own thing, right? And it's like, okay, you're in the doghouse, right? So we have got these superpowers, which make us supervillains as well as make us superheroes, right? Which is really worth knowing. And most of us aren't even aware we have that superpower until someone comes along and says, I'm not happy with what you did. And it's like, what did I do, right? I didn't even know I did that thing, right? And in the same way, you have these two areas here, where on this side, you have, because these people know how to keep ongoing plumbing going, right? So if on this side, you are now going to be shut off. I still remember we had a CFO, and she goes, I'm not happy with my husband. And I go, why? He goes, well, because he cheated on me. And I go, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And he goes, it's okay, I got my own back. He said, what'd you do? I said, took his bank accounts. It's like, I thought, what? He took all his bank accounts, it's like, shut him off from the money. It's like, whoa, okay. All right, like, I was controlling the money. He wants to control my emotions, I'll control his money, right? So he didn't do well off that. Shut off, right? Like, the furthest you can go is cut off. I mean, that is cut, I'm just going to cut you off, right? Like, so some parents do that, right? It's like, I'm just going to cut you off, no more money, right? Like, that's what happens on this side. These people, they don't have that flow, right? They have that circle, right? So this happens a lot, right? Shut out or cut out. You're not part of my gang anymore, right? You see this? It's super wild. It's like, oh my God, like, yeah, like, and when you're at school and you want to empower yourself, it's much faster and quicker to use your supervillain powers than your superhero powers, which is why you see bullying so prevalent at school, right? For this reason. But if you know that, it's like, oh, okay. So this here is the negatives. Like if you take something like epic meaning, things like Wikipedia editing, Twitter bioactivism, cult-like communities that make leaving feel like betrayal. Like these are all things that are basically, okay, here's how you can use it to make people feel trapped and stuck using epic meaning. Religions do this, right? On this side here, charity runs, climate action apps, student councils, student social enterprises, volunteering platforms. Like there's ways to be epic in ways that are positive. So again, this is about how do you go from things that could be used in a negative way and turn it into something that could be used for a positive way, right? Now you're addicted to learning or addicted to success. And each of these actually now design into that. Like this one here, development accomplishment. Yeah, on the negative, you could say, okay, progress bars, like counts on social media, but you can also say fitness trackers to get fitter, right? You can use the same things to measure, and now, okay, I'm gonna go run further, or I'm gonna, like look after my sleep more, right? Khan Academy badges. So this is really nice that you actually go, once you understand you have these superpowers, you can turn them on and off. You can use them for bad or good. But understanding that, you'll be more noticeable of it, and you can help other people to articulate where they're at as you go forward as well. So each of these are more for reference, right? For you to just know, okay, if I want to do more of one, what are the different ways to look at it? And if you wanted to turn this into 20 slides or a booklet, right? AI will help you do that very easily. And that's really how we should be using it, using AI as a way to make us more human. This is what I want to be touching on now at the end of my section, which is dose. So many of you know of dose. I think dose has really come a long way at the moment. So dose is the 4 drivers. If anyone's on drugs, they're on drugs because it's a faster way to these 4 drivers, right? Because drugs are simply activators of these 4 different energies that you can get through chemicals, right? And because they're all naturally produced. So dopamine, we all know about dopamine, right? Dopamine is a particular specific one, which, as it says here, it enables motivation, learning, feelings of pleasure, but is one of the highest one that actually creates also addiction, because you've got to keep on checking back every few minutes because you get that hit. And it's never because of what you got, it's because of the anticipation of what you're going to get, right? That you actually have it. The moment you get it, it's like, oh, right? Oxytocin is very, very different, right? It's the feeling of trust, motivates to build, sustain relationships, right? That takes longer to get. But again, there's like many drugs you can take which actually get you to this like love hormone, right? Serotonin is feeling significant importance. Anyone who's ever done cocaine, this is what you get, right? It's like, okay, I'm like, hero of the world, and you can get there very quick, but then it's a big down. Or you can say, hey, there's ways I can get this through my social interactions, through what I'm choosing to do with my vision for my journey. And endorphins is releasing a brief euphoria, so short term, to mask physical pain. Is why people run marathons, right? It's why we put ourselves under kind of all of that energy to get to basically a level of pain on the other side of it. We actually get to euphoria. And these 4 elements here, what's really interesting about them is that the 8 different this one here, the 8 different octalysis drivers will trigger different ones. If you want to look at and say, well, where does oxytocin, in fact, let me start with where does dopamine sit. Dopamine, you can't really see that there, but dopamine basically, where's my link? Dopamine sits here and here. It's at the bottom, so left brain, right brain, temporal lobe. So once you're in here, if you're scrolling social media, you're not going to be doing much up here, right? Because it's just like the hum happening down here. But it's what actually just gets you addicted, right, to that whole kind of like on and on and on, right? Go for a run, right? You're going to get the same experience if you've got a nice view, right? So these two here, really important to know that. This one here, let me go to the one which is, this one here, serotonin. The confidence, right, significance. But at the same time, feeling valued, respected, proud. This actually happens up here and down here, right? This is value, right? It's when you're creating value, you're going to get this either at the top or at the bottom, right? And then the two, which are the social ones, which is kind of like this one here, this one here, endorphins, natural painkillers released during physical exertion, intense experiences, euphoria and flow, versus social bonding. Oxytocin is these two here, right? And then you've got these two here. And so if you want more of one, more of another, like, and why do I want that? What's going on in my chemicals which is making this happen? Like, this is the fundamental elements of it, right? I can go one step further and say that what's super cool about this is many of you know the powers. In fact, I think it's from this one here. There's a book that just came out, like 2024, which is called The Dose Effect, and that's by TJ Powell, who, he was at our events here when he was like 8 years old. That was like 20 years ago, right? Now he's like 28, and so he's now very well known for having written The Dose Effect, where he talks about these 4 and how they work, which is like super powerful. And then the final thing I want to share about this is there's something that goes beyond all of those 4 when they impact, which is beyond that. It's what you get when you get into a true flow state where it's no longer even about the mind, right? Because these are all triggered by the mind, right? And your focus. But the inside, the middle, is something very different. When you hear about someone being mindful, it's not about the brain, right? Because when if anything, you're mindless, right? Like it's no longer about these things anymore. There's something beyond all of that, right? That's the spiritual state. And that spiritual state, which again, if you go into, like, it's very difficult to just jump in, jump out until you get very, very good at it if you're like a guru. But generally, like something like waking up in the morning and just going into it is easier because you already have got your unconscious more operative at that point. But the person who's way, like the best at doing this, Stephen Kotler, who I've met many times. If you read any of Peter Diamandis' books, like Bold or Abundance, it was actually Stephen Kotler who wrote those books. So he was like the ghostwriter for Peter. But Stephen Kotler's whole obsession is the flow state, right? And it all started by him, like he actually started not by thinking about flow, he started by saying, what makes someone crazy enough and so risky that they would jump off a building, or out of a plane, or just do any of these extreme sports, right? So he went out to research them, a bit like with moonwalking of Einstein, where it's kind of like, well, like, how do people become amazing at this thing? He thought everyone was very risky. When he met these guys, he's like, they're actually very risk averse. I mean, they just like make sure whatever happens that they are eliminating risk in what they're doing. But if that's the case, why are they actually doing it, right? And it turned out it was because of the state that they got into, whether you're surfing here in Bali, whether you're doing anything which is actually, like skiing down a mountain where you get great at it and suddenly you're able to achieve things that are just superhuman. And what he found was that basically he wrote a number of books which are brilliant, right? There's one called The Rise of Superman, Decoding the Science of Ultimate Human Performance. Then he wrote Stealing Fire, which is really about igniting genius, right? That's what it is. It's like taking the sun and becoming that superhuman. And the one that just came out this year is called We Are as Gods, which is what happens when you link with technology, all of these different tools. And what his realizations was when you get fully absorbed into something, very much like, our original idea of flow, and it starts becoming effortless because it's just what happens. There was this really great story that he shared with me, which is in one of his books, about a part of, I think it was like one of the Colorado rivers that was meant to be unnavigable because it was like just so extreme, the rapids and everything. And there was a canoeist who went off on his own and got down this river and out the other end. And everyone was like, what the heck? Like, how did you do that? Like, and he said that there were some times when he would go under, and he'd be under for like 5 minutes, right, before he came back up again, right? And he still survived the whole thing. And was like, how did you do that? Like, did you have to become a better canoeist? And he goes, no, I couldn't be a canoeist. Like, a canoeist couldn't survive that. He says, well, then what did you do? He said, I became a drop. I just became water, right? And it's like, okay. Right? And there's just something even in that, which is like, for you to have to transcend, you know, who you are or your mortality to get into something, but distorted time, right? This whole aspect of peak performance that comes out of this. What was very interesting is that when he like really did his research and got to the bottom of this, what he actually found off the back of it was that even though you find this with like extreme athletes, his follow-up book, Stealing Fire, was about where this now shows up across all of the top disciplines. He found that like there isn't a single Olympic team that doesn't understand how important it is to get into flow state in whatever it is, if you want to be like, you know, on the podium. The US government, like the Navy SEALs, they will make sure you get into flow state before firing a gun, right? Like because your learning goes up 400% or 500% when you're in flow state. So it's like once you really get into the mode, my story even about going round and round and round in the pool was about just getting to this flow state where the payoff is the actual flow itself, right? But when you're in there, what you can achieve is just mind-blowing, right? And a creator will have a flow state, which is about pure creativity, right? A supporter will have a flow state, which is just pure connection, right? Each of us will have a different flow state based on the instrument that we've been given. And this basically goes through what those steps are. And what's really interesting here is that struggle is the first step, right? Because we're still holding on to the material side of things before we release. And if you go, well, then how do we even motivate people to just really push through on something? It's got to be epic enough. It's got to be a journey that people go, I'm on this journey for where we're going, and it's going to be tough, but I'm good with that. That's what actually unlocks the flow state, right? As opposed to happiness, I'm just going to be happy all the time. You're never going to get to flow. So that golden key, right? The golden ticket that we get is all part of what we have here. That leads us to flow, and then it doesn't, you know, it's not there forever. You got to kind of like come back to the real world and then do it again, right? That's the hero's journey that we're talking about here, which is like super, super exciting. And then what are the triggers that allow that to happen? How do we build that? You know, being a guide to igniting genius is so much more than just learning knowledge or even skills. It's about doing that until that's not even important anymore, because it's now the journey of the spirit itself that we are guiding. And that's when it gets super exciting. These are the kind of results, right? It's pretty wild. So take a moment now and just say, okay, pull out again your Genius Journey sheets and say, okay, well, in the Genius Journey sheets, to what extent am I seeing that I'm going to have opportunities to get myself into flow? And what would be, out of all these different things that we mentioned, what would be the key elements, and hopefully it's in some cases all of these, right, that you'd want, but what could be some of the things that I could add in already? Could I do an award ceremony? Could I do, you know, some kind of challenge? Could I have my top team members join a leaderboard, right? Like just, they're so easy to put in place, but totally change the dynamics of the game itself. Go ahead and have a conversation with the person next to you. What might you add? What might you spice up your journey with using these different tools that we're learning about today? All right, I'll give you a few minutes, and then I'm going to hand it over to Angie.
Okay, so Roger has magically transformed into me. Thank you for that amazing session, Roger. Thanks, everybody. So now we're bringing you back into the collaboration zone. So we're going to say, as Genius Guides, can we split into groups of 3? Ideally, not the same groups of 3 you were with yesterday. In fact, looking around the room, I think you're all in different spaces anyway. So that works out quite well. So if you go split into groups of 3, so it could be you 3, you 3, you 3, 3, and we've got a group of two groups of 2 rather than have someone on their own. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to practice our guidance strategies as Genius Guides. Remember, if you've reviewed, as Roger's just said, to add in some of the gamification, some of the rewards into your plan, be talking about that as you're sharing your plan as well, so that you've got this opportunity for feedback. Yeah, so I'm just going to give you a framework, remind you of what we do as guides. So remember, we see the person first. Our goal is to see them, to really listen, and that's the big picture. Then we ignite, so we're igniting their genius, yeah? Then we're coaching them. Then we're reflecting, sometimes reflecting back what they've just said. So if you imagine through reflection, you can help them notice patterns or help them notice insights or learning. And then we inspire. We inspire by encouraging action. So we've had some conversations over lunchtime and over the last few days about what do I do when I'm stuck? How do I get out of my own way? And we were having this great conversation. This person was a dynamo energy. And so she creates, really creative thinker. But she then thinks nobody will want what she's creating. So that self-doubt creeps in and that fear around what's happening. So then the way to keep energy flowing is to keep it moving around the wealth dynamic square. So if you as a creator can share your creation or your creative ideas with somebody who's blaze energy, so you have that opportunity to be able to verbalize and actually ensure you're communicating with clarity and not too many ideas and too much information. If the blaze energy really understands it, that's one big win. And then the second possibility then is for them to provide feedback on how you might take that to your community. And most, if it's a really good idea, will want to support you with that journey too. So understanding that we all have these emotions, you know, Sean shared as well. Well, when you're coming into the room, nobody needs to share and provide feedback can be quite challenging. Knowing these emotions are present, we are humans after all, and we are emotional beings, but just sit with that emotion and have the courage anyway, because we are developing these dispositions in our students as well. Learning does take courage. It is a risky business. You do have to step up. You do need to be able to feel the fear and do it anyway. So creating that safe space for that to happen is really important. So as guides, we need to consider that. So you notice the person in front of you, you listen deeply. You understand where they are, not where you are, where they are, yeah? You spark curiosity and possibility, helping them to reconnect to their strengths. And then you ask thoughtful questions that move the thinking forwards. Remember, asking thoughtful questions is not giving thoughtful answers, because you might have the solution, but you want them to reach the solution because they own their own journey, yeah? So asking thoughtful questions and then help them notice patterns in their thinking, patterns in their behavior. You might be able to offer reassurance, you know, help them see how amazing their plans are. And then, yeah, through that encouragement, you inspire. So are we all clear with our roles as guides? Yeah? So we need time to practice this, because it's only through applying our knowledge and having that experiential learning moments that we truly get to understand, yeah? And we want you to leave here knowing what it means to be a genius guide. So I'm asking that we split into 3. We have one person sharing their genius journey. So ideally it would be someone different from yesterday, because we want everyone to have both perspectives. One person shares their genius journey. The next person acts as the observer. Let me find the right slide, because I'll leave it up for you. So one person acts as the observer. So they watch the guide and the person sharing their genius journey. They observe the interactions, and then the idea is the observer gives structured feedback after they've observed the whole interaction. So we've got our speaker, the person with sharing their journey. We've got our guide, who is guiding them on that journey. And then we've got the observer, who is observing, ready to offer structured feedback to the guide. Does that make sense? Okay, so decide amongst yourselves who's playing what part. And we'll give you probably 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Okay, guys. I think pause where we're up to for now. And let's see how far we got and what the experience was like for you. Well done. What do you want to be first to share then? It would be good to have the perspective of the guide, the observer, and the person who was sharing, even if you're the voice for all three.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So what started, so we're all Blaze.
Yes.
And the challenge at the start was clear articulation of the problem.
Yes.
But a lack of solution and clarity on what success looked like, because what its reflection was that she was trying to come up with the idea of the solution.
Yeah.
When after reflection was that you don't need to be the ideas person. You can bring the people with the ideas together through a podcast or a mechanism that shines light on the ideas and solutions out there, and be the Blaze energy that connects the ideas with the people. And then the limiting factor at the start didn't really become a problem because it wasn't in the genius zone.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So that was working with the natural genius. Yep. So when you were you the guide or the observer?
I was the observer, but I couldn't help myself and jump in at the end. It was a three-way at the end.
How did you feel about that as the guide? Good.
It's collaborating. Collaboration.
Good,
So
good. And so, as the guide, what was your experience?
Was very interesting because I never heard about her project or her journey. So, yeah, I think was hopefully interesting feedback. She was, I think, lacking a little bit in the acting part.
Yes.
So she has a lot of research already. She has this idea, but then, yeah. She needs to get it started at some point.
Yeah.
But as a Blaze, probably it is easier for her project and solution to just pair and cooperate with somebody else, a dynamo, and just bring that solution to the world without really you creating it, but just you facilitating, emphasizing it, magnifying it.
Brilliant, which is essentially what you were saying from a different perspective. Yeah, yeah. So from the person who's sharing the genius journey, you were lucky you had two guides.
Yes, that was a fantastic experience with them. And I just thinking about the problem and I stick on them. But you both can help me. Thank you so much to get through this. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you feel through that whole process that you were being guided, or did you feel you were, sorry to say, you were given solutions or given direction? Did you feel guided through the process, like you still own your own plan?
All the time I like other person ask a question about this, but these two person show me the other edge of the things that I cannot see. This.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah. So, well done, Ryan. I'm glad to see you were listening. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing. You. Yeah, really good. Okay, who wants to volunteer next? Or I'll volunteer you. Teo, now it's you. Perspective of the person sharing the genius journey, the guide and the observer.
Well, I was sharing.
Yes, good, good. So start with you.
And we had the guide and the observer here. Mine's a little bit complicated because I gave them the backstory of the reason why this next 3 months is so important. And I'm also lucky because, as I said yesterday, I've got my AI mentor that helps me to write this out and gives that level of clarity.
Brilliant.
And then I asked it last night, where am I potentially stuck in my own mindset?
Yes.
And then it asked me a lot of questions that then, as my comment this morning was like, okay, I didn't even realize. And then I started to adjust it from that. And then I just added to it the prompt of, let's add in the Octalysis framework and the dose activation plan. And so it's added that in as well.
Fantastic.
So it's given me, it's to tell me what to do on a daily basis for dopamine, oxytocin, but this is separate. I think it's probably better to pass over to the guide to say, because the questions that were asked were fantastic.
Great. Go, Yvonne.
So I think we needed more time for this anyway, because we used a lot of the time just hearing the story, and I'm fascinated and I'd love to know more and speak more about it, as I've said. But for me, it's very difficult for me to not jump in, because have you tried what? So I was trying to be mindful of that and ask the right questions. I mean, it's fascinating. It makes me also kind of stop and listen, because I am dynamic. I'm always wanting to just okay, let's get there. Like, stop talking about it. Let's just do it now. You know? Yeah. That's great. The whole point of this exercise is to raise your self-awareness. Exactly. And it's done exactly that. You're now aware that you have a tendency to want to do that, but you resisted because you were focused on the individual genius, being Teo, and facilitating his journey rather than making it yours, which was really cool. Exactly. Yeah. But I just actually want to help. So
you can still help.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see if I can get involved.
Fantastic. And as an observer, how was it for you?
My English I have some difficulty to follow everything, but I understand the project.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a good result to understand the project.
Yes.
I can speak more.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah. And, so it was communicated well.
Yeah.
Well done, Taya. So anybody from this table want to share? Unless you guys would really like to share, I'd rather take one from each table if we can, just because it's just past afternoon tea time. Yeah? Oh, yeah?
So I was the sharer. Firstly, it's harder to share your own journey than it is to listen to others or to write down a journey for someone else. That's more exciting. When you have to do your own, you're just like, so that's what happened.
That's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think because I've been thinking about this journey or this, it was easier to explain because it's been in my head and I've done research about it so long. So I just had information and telling you about how I was going to start, where I was going to go. And it was good to have people to be like, okay, it sounds great, but here I think you should maybe focus on this bit instead of holding it to yourself and keeping it only to yourself. These are ways that you can share it with everyone. And so, yeah.
So you found sharing it was really useful for giving you the confidence to articulate it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sharing it also brought it alive, and it's like
nice.
the accountability now you need to act on it, because you said something about it. I think sometimes you have ideas and you're like, I'm just going to keep quiet because no one's going to expect nothing from me,
but now there's social pressure.
Exactly. So you've said it and you just like, oh, it actually does not sound as bad as it was, but also there's more I can do with it. So it's very cool. And they asked, like, I feel like the encouragement that they gave me and said, you got this.
Yeah.
Just do the next thing. You know what the next thing is, more or less. Just do the next one. So that was cool.
Brilliant. And who was the observer? How did you find it?
The vision for me, like her vision is very clear.
Yes.
She's just been living with this project for a really long time, totally gets what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And with a lot of the right of questions and some inspiring comments from a guide. I saw her Togo's eyes like just got even brighter, and she's on the right path, and the confidence that Togo has about this project and the way she talks about it is like I believe in it 100%. So it's like it's gonna be real.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. And from our guide, how was it for you?
Yeah, when I heard the vision and then the journey, it's so amazing. I know as guidance, it's really easy to guide and then giving some motivation and then we give suggestion.
Yeah.
But for me, myself, might be it's really difficult to make it happen. Yeah, I know, but I feel when I hear the vision, oh, I know the step. You have to do this, to do that, and to do that.
Yeah.
Avoid this, and then you try to do this. I think it's really easy to give suggestion and then has a clear vision. And then, yeah, cross finger. Hopefully it will become true. Yeah, and then I think we need somebody to able to prove it. I mean, make it happen. Yeah, maybe another genius profile. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing. All right. Who wants to volunteer on this table? Last table. Then we, yeah, all of you. No, we can only take one sharing. Yeah.
I was sharing my journey.
Yeah.
Which actually, after hearing your insights, I realized maybe my journey is about something else, because I do have a clear, like, just like yours. I have a very clear idea, and like almost every step is clear to me. But the actual blocker for me is like have enough time to actually like follow this plan. So probably my journey is gonna be like find this time. So, which I'm gonna think about later. But like talking to a guide who is still, she jumped straight to the like future. Like I saw what this project could be like in 30 years time, because she's like, okay, we're gonna automate everything. Everything is gonna be, we're gonna make it accessible for all the world. And I was like, yeah, but how I'm gonna do it in 3 months? Please. But I like the vision. I like the vision of the future, that it's like it's gonna be big and it's gonna be inspiring,
yes,
both for me and for others. But I was like, wait, but I want it to be like more personal. I want to care. I want to like be involved physically with the parents and with the children and within the process. So yeah, but actually, like, thank you so much. I just realized that my journey is about like finding time, rather than like completing the project itself.
Does finding time inspire you, though? Surely your journey is about more than finding time, is it? What's your whole big vision?
Big vision. Well, be independent.
Yes.
Like be secure.
Yes.
And like give back.
Yeah.
Like do something meaningful on this planet, because like a lot of crazy things going on. And yeah.
So what's that meaningful thing on your genius journey?
It's actually like a personalized service for families, like educational diagnostic framework.
Yeah.
So where it's not just about the school, but also like extra curriculum activities, about private tutors, about what they learn in the family, and like getting all the data and about the child as well.
Okay.
And like try to connect the dots.
Yeah.
And make the education process for a child easier.
Yeah.
And like achievable, and be academically successful.
And that
well.
is so much better than what you shared before, because you went straight into the problems, like finding time and things like that.
Okay.
Sharing that vision, other people can get on board and support you with it. So that gives you some time. Also, using AI, you can create some time. And as Roger shared earlier, when you have something you're so passionate about that it matters more than anything else, this is, I must do this, you will also find the time, or you'll find the solution to that time. So great vision, but just be aware that, and when you're guiding people, just be aware that you can see the block was straight away to challenges. Whereas if the vision is really, really strong and you go through those clear steps and use AI, that will show you where the time is. And particularly if you gamify it, because if you use that whole process Roger shared about making it a game, then that actually will create more fun and more engagement for you as well. Challenge with many of us when we're doing our own thing and we're entrepreneurs, and we need to be so self-motivated. So it's creating our day, and Roger does a program called Masters, and it's absolutely amazing for showing us this. So we create our whole day and our whole business around giving us the time we need to make sure that we achieve our goals. So, but for now, for this program, it's being aware of where the blocks are and then using the tools that we've shown you here to provide you with both time and energy, which is just another form of time, because if you're energized, you'll get things done much quicker. But that was a really good sharing. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for the insight. Yeah, I took this in.
Yes.
Share something.
Okay. Oh, from the guide perspective, I'm sorry. Yes.
I'm not sure I was good as a guide, because I just jumped in and trying to help to create the structure, and
yes.
Got a lot of ideas how to automate it, like ideas that you already done the most part, just add this, and it will work.
Yeah.
Without you. But
so remember, the guide is there to guide you to your own solutions. So if you're doing that, you're not a bad guide. Just because all the solutions aren't there already doesn't make you a bad guide, because this is a genius journey and you're helping one step at a time on that genius journey. So you can choose to keep guiding and you'll see what a great guide you are. But right now, you might not be the perfect guide, you're still learning yourself, but you're taking a one step forwards on that genius journey just by providing that guidance and being that ear, actively listening. Yeah, so thank you for that as well. Remember, none of us are perfect, and this doesn't have to be perfect. So thank you everybody for the sharings. We're now at 3:15 just gone. I think that's a bit fast. I think we're about 3:15. So we're going to afternoon tea. It would be really good if we can still be back in the room at 3:30, even if you bring your drinks with you. Yeah? So we can get started on the next session with Roger. That'd be good. Are we all happy with that? So lovely. Thank you very much.